Welcome to the cockpit. My name's Ryan, and I'll be your pilot tonight. Boys and girls, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to talk a little bit about the Jets GM and head coach search, names that we could be taking a look at, article that came out. Jets hired a consulting firm with some familiar faces to help us go through this search. We're not just trusting Woody Johnson and Chris Johnson. They're bringing in a little bit of help. I'm excited to talk to you guys. We're going to do this for an hour. Then I'm going to go over to the Talking Jets show. It's going to be Talking Jets channel. Myself and Dom C at 9 o'clock. So if you guys want to tune in and hang out with a little bit more conversation, we will be over there in an hour. Until then, I will give you guys my thoughts, my feelings. We'll do some call-ins tonight. Once I kind of get my spiel out of the way, let's call it like 8:15. I'll open the phone lines up, and then we'll talk to the chat. And if you guys want to call in, you're more than welcome to do that. So without further ado, let's go into the sponsored read right now. Bam! This stream powered by BetUS. If you guys did not know, you can bet on futures over at BetUS, and there's some AFC Conference Championship lines that people are talking about. My favorites, Baltimore Ravens playing tonight, Monday Night Football, plus 350 to win the AFC. The Houston Texans are my sneaky dark horse at plus 1,200. If you're looking to throw a little bit of cheddar down, I would suggest not picking the Jets. We have a 0.7% chance of making the playoffs at plus. This was plus 2,500. This was actually plus 25,000. But that was before this past week, so I got to actually update this. But if you head over to BetUS, get 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000 with code YouTube150. Thank you so much for sponsoring the channel. Now let's get into our GM search. We saw this from Adam Schefter today. Jets are retaining the 33rd team to support them on their upcoming general manager and head coaching searches. Former Jets general manager Mike Tannenbaum and Vikings general manager Rick Spielman will lead the project for the NFL Technology and Media Company. The 33rd team will provide its data analysis and experience to assist the Jets in their search for a new leadership. GM head coach. So we hired the guy we fired to help find us the next guy to hire. You could do that. You know who else is a member of this team? As of earlier this year? Like September? Adam Gase. Adam Gase is also along for the ride with the 33rd team. Now, there are some really good names in there, so I don't poo-poo it all entirely, but it is kind of comical that we're hiring the guy that we fired to hire the next guy that we're hopefully leading us into the future. So what do I think about it? Just get it right. Just get it right. That's all I'm asking. Like, I haven't really loved a lot of what Tannenbaum has said off, like away from football, like talking about like the analyst stuff and whatnot. But he did have probably the most successful stretch of Jets years that we've seen in quite some time. Obviously, the getting of Revis and Harris and Mangold and Brick and like all these guys culminated into those AFC Championship runs that the Jets went on with Rex Ryan. And yeah, dude, just it feels like we can't escape our past. We can't escape our past. People talk about Rex Ryan for head coach, talk about Eric Mangini as head coach or GM, and then Tannenbaum's leading the way. Like, this is just the whole fraternity of like guys who like screwing us over. I shouldn't say screwing us over, but like, you fired him for a reason. Why bring him back, right? I don't know. Kind of irritating, but look, there's going to be some names that we can talk about. I didn't build any slides for him, but if you guys saw after Sunday Night Football last night, Connor Hughes was on NBC following the show, and he rattled off a few names of interest. For GM personnel, John Dorsey, Lions personnel executive. He was also the GM for the Browns, who rebuilt that entire organization, drafted Baker Mayfield, and that built that whole team up. Ryan Grigson, Vikings VP of Player Personnel, and Nolan Teasley, Seattle Seahawks assistant GM. He is the greenest of the three. Doesn't have a crazy ton of experience, but could be the next big up and comer of these three particular players. Of those three, John Dorsey is the one that sticks out the most to me. And as far as the coaches that Connor Hughes mentioned, he said the Jets are going to want to look for a former head coach to be their head coach. And the first name he had on his list was literally the name I've been talking about for like, it's got to be close to a month now. 3 weeks? 3 weeks to a month. Brian Flores, Pete Carroll, Rex Ryan. Now, Rex Ryan feels very much like a long shot and just more to get like tabloids and all that sort of stuff. I don't think we should hire Rex. I don't think it would be a good idea. As much as I love those 2 years of Rex Ryan, the following 4 years were absolutely miserable. Before then, he moved on to Buffalo, who just had like a stellar defense. They thought they were getting the defensive guru that was Rex Ryan a la 2009, 2010, and they got Rex Ryan a la 2014 or whatever it was, and that defense got systematically dismantled, and they wound up having a horrible 2 years under Rex Ryan. So I don't know if that's really the move I'd want to make, aside from it being nostalgic. Pete Carroll obviously had some ties here for a little bit as well in the early 90s. And then Flores, for me, is the guy that I'm kind of circling as, if you go after him, assuming he's not blackballed by the league or anything like that, he's someone that's going to hate the Dolphins so much and want to prove himself. And I feel like that's the, like, hey, we're giving you a second chance, not us asking someone else to be their second, like, someone's like, hey, come over here, like, do that thing that you did for that other team, and like, we're gonna woo you out of retirement. Pete Carroll will be the oldest head coach in the league, and like I don't know if I necessarily want to see that either. But you could see how a Teasley and Pete Carroll relationship could potentially go, or a John Dorsey, a Ryan Grigson and Brian Flores relationship could go, with them working together currently or in the past. So for me, Dorsey, Flores, sign me up. Or Grigson, I guess. I'm fine with how the Vikings have been drafting. I like their team. I'm a fan. Main Jets fan. Preaching to the choir, Green Bean for general manager. Yes. I saw Green Bean's post officially throwing his hat into the ring. Mitt Flair, what's up, dude? Daniel Berry Sports, what's up? Eric, JT, what's poppin', Jets family? What's up, Ryan? Show Ryan some love. Sack the like button. Spike the like button. Yeah, I should have had like some sort of like gimmicky like thing like that. We'll call it Spike the Like. Spike that like. Good evening. Hope everyone's doing well. I hope you're doing well too, Ant. Alan, Broncos just cut Dulcich. Bring him in to see if he could be a diamond in the rough. I don't know anything about him. Let me do a quick Google. Quick Google on it. What are his stats? Let's see. All right. 3 years in the league. In 2022, he had 411 yards. He had 25 yards last year. He had 28 yards this year. He's got 5 receptions on the year. Diamond in the rough is an understatement. I don't know. I don't know how much I'm interested in that. But hey, you know what? There's a lot worse things you could be doing. Harlan, howdy, folks. Mark, nice to have you in here. Ryan, would you want Gruden? I would be intrigued by Gruden. It would definitely cost you a lot of money, but we saw big time money go to Sean Payton, and then obviously turn the Broncos around, or it seems like it's heading that direction, that they're being turned around. Gruden, I'd be interested. I think there's probably other coaches I'd want instead of him, but if you're saying culture change is what you kind of need, Chucky is certainly that. Hit the like button. First thing I do entering the chat. Know what we will get. Thank you, Harlan. Always greatly appreciated. I don't know if I have Nightbot currently spitting out the link to come on here. Let me just pull that up real quick. Wait way too long to set this up. I should really do this prior to me coming online. Whoa, they changed the website for it. Now I'm all thrown off. All right, I think it should go now. Nobody. It says, as a Dolphins fan, You should go after Brian Flores. He is a heck of a coach and knows Miami, plus he deserves a second chance. I 100% agree. There's certain coaches, Vrabel and Flores being the two prime examples in my head, where if these guys, when they were fired, I said, that's weird. They're really good head coaches. And that's the type of coach I want to go after. Like going after Adam Gase when I was like, yeah, Dolphins got rid of Adam Gase. That sucks for us because I would have liked them to keep him. And then we turn around and hire him the next day. I don't want a coach that clearly failed and then you just bring him in again and expect different results. I like Flores. I like Vrabel. And I think that little bit of vitriol that comes with Brian Flores and that hate of the Dolphins is something that I think Jet fans can gravitate towards, and players, especially on the defensive side. This team has a lot of stud defensive players that seem to be struggling a little bit. If you pair him with the right offensive mind, I could get on board with that. NY Jets fan says Flores, Vrabel, Rex. That's my three. I would say Rex is the last one of my. I shouldn't even say he's the last one on my list, but it's one of those where if you're getting down to an embarrassing number of people turning down your job or not wanting to be the guy, or that's the vibe you're getting, then I could understand going for Rex because at least he's passionate about the team. And I don't think it's the right way to go. I would say my top three are Vrabel, Flores. I would love Ben Johnson. I don't think it's going to happen. Stefanski, if he gets fired, if you wanted to trade for him, that might be an interesting conversation to have. Hulk says, what's going on, Ryan? Man, this bye week was refreshing and needed. Dude, even though we had a bye week, it felt like it wasn't a bye week. You know what I'm saying? We had Aaron Rodgers, drama up the wazoo. Joe Douglas gets canned. This was very much an active bye week for us. I did not like that. I wanted to just totally unplug, and I couldn't. Wild Wave. Let's talk trade compensation for Sauce and Garrett. Ryan, what would you like for them in return? So I don't want to trade either one of them. I would prefer us to go after a quarterback, whether that be potentially via trade or maybe a free agent guy that you like, at least a high upside guy. If you want to bring in Fields and have a Fields, Tyrod Taylor, Jordan Travis kind of competition, and hey, you guys are going to have the opportunity at this quarterback job prior to us pulling the trigger on a quarterback in 2026, I would understand that. If you like a young quarterback in the draft, I'm fine with that. But what I'm getting at here is I would like a quarterback in place that allows these players to feel hey, I don't need to be traded right now. We could try to make this work. I think there's a situation where if the Jets don't draft a quarterback in the first round and Garrett knows he's wasting another year here, I would hope he would if he's going to request a trade, does it in private, so that way it doesn't kind of tank his value. But Garrett, to me, both these players, I would say start at an asking price of 2 first-round picks. Garrett, I think right now is clearly the more valuable one. Sauce prior to this season would have been, very, very valuable as well. But I don't want to see any one of them go. I'd rather us roll the dice on trying to make something work, and then at the trade deadline next year, if it's not working, make the moves that you feel like you'd have to make to recoup some draft capital at that point. I don't want to just give up on good young players because we have drafted a lot of players, and a lot of them are not good even though they're young. Just because we're going to get draft picks doesn't mean it's the right move to make. Jamal Adams, right move to make. Player that didn't matter. If someone offers you 2 firsts for Sauce, I really like Sauce, but that's very hard to pass up for a player that doesn't really generate turnovers. And that's not saying anything bad about Sauce. It's just the economics at play. Jimmy says, has anyone asked TD Finstock about if Flores is worth it? I have not talked to him about it. I should text him. You know what? I'm going to see if he answers me. Let's see. I'll text him after. It'd be so out of left field. He'd be like, what? I haven't talked to TD in a minute. Let's see here. What am I looking at? Rich Ryan says Rex. Rex, Ryan. I like it. Rich says, Ryan, I'm afraid. Look, I am at a point right now where I don't want to say I'm numb, but I definitely feel like I'm not concerned with what they do. At this point, fucking, we're a three-ring circus. You want to ask some people to get in the clown car? Why not? Coach Primetime want to coach? Don't care. Come on. Let's just do the craziest shit possible because why not? It doesn't work out for us when we do the things that I think might make sense. I think I'm just a defeated Jets fan at this point. You've watched me over the last 7 years go from like highly optimistic, we're getting Kirk Cousins and this whole thing's turning around, to not turning around. Ryan says, do you think we bring in Justin Fields? If not, who do you want at quarterback next year? So right now, I really do like Milroe. There's been some online articles talking about the possibility of trading for a Trevor Lawrence if a draft pick situation worked out in such a way that we had the third pick and the Jaguars had the first pick, so they were guaranteed one of the top two quarterbacks plus plus Travis Hunter. That's an interesting option. The finances for it, I don't know if that really makes sense for the Jaguars to do. Be an interesting thought process. But right now, Milroe, of the quarterbacks that I think we're realistically going to have a shot at, is intriguing to me. I don't really love him at the top of the first, but I think he is going to go in the first round. As far as free agent quarterbacks, it's like I think it's Jameis Winston and Fields, and I think that's really like the only two worth a damn. Now, maybe there's opportunities like if you could trade for Matthew Stafford, I would be open to that. I don't want to give up number 3 overall, but if you could trade for Matthew Stafford and bring him in here, I could get on board with that. Kirk Cousins is similar, kind of mindset, but I think he turned us down once. I'd be kind of surprised if he came back and tried to do it again. But basically what I'm trying to say is getting a quarterback in here should be a very, very critical piece to this whole puzzle because it shows your team that you're not just rolling over and tanking. Boogie Down Bronx. Flores can be the next Tomlin. He's a good coach and he will hold players accountable. Thinking he can flip this in a season. We have good talent here. So I've liked Flores for a long time. I'm gonna own this one. I have been talking about Flores since like the minute we fired Robert Saleh. I very much like the idea of going after Flores. His defenses are always good. He's been around with great organizations. He had success in Miami. And he didn't even like Tua. Like he wanted to go Justin Herbert. That tells me at the very least, like it seems like he's got a pretty good eye for quarterbacks. Some level of understanding. I'm on board. I would do it. Could he be the next Mike Tomlin? That would be fantastic. You get him for 15, 20 years. Why not? I don't think it's happening. Why Stefanski? What has he done? 2-time coach of the year. Easy. The Shield, Aaron is playing this week in a wheelchair. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I want Aaron to play the rest of the year because I think it's the best chance to get the highest draft pick possible. I do think he's playing hurt, though. Rico says, took his team to the playoffs, having to start 3 or 4 quarterbacks last season, having an offensive line decimated by injuries, and losing Nick Chubb for the season. Not his fault. He's forced to start Watson. Well, I do think he probably signed off on the Watson trade to begin with, but I do think that, or at least like acknowledge that he would want him as his quarterback. But I agree. 2-time coach of the year, getting the most out of players, that's your coaching job. You're never getting 2 first-rounders for either of those players. I think with Garrett, you get a minimum of a first to third. And I think for me, saying, I have to go down 2 draft picks is not absurd. You never get your starting asking price. I'm not saying like, I'm only moving him for 2 firsts. It's like, no, that's I'm saying 2 firsts. If you're going to offer me a first and a third, depending on the team, I might tell you no. I might have to wait on that. I think I could get a first and a third at the trade deadline the same way I think I get a first and a third right now. So there's no point in me trading him unless it's a good pick. But I would agree Sauce is not the guy you're getting, multiple firsts for either. Eddie says, the biggest issue with Tanny is he is buddies with Ira and Jaime who are just embedded and going nowhere. They make the decisions. A new GM is just a facade. 100%. There's a reason why Woody Johnson doesn't want to bring in a football mind to be president. It's because I think Jaime or Ira, one of them's got the dirty emails on Woody. For whatever reason, we just can't get rid of him. Someone's got to find those emails. Send them out. Same thing they did to Gruden. Whack. Same thing they did to Schneider. Whack. Look how that went for the Commanders. Adam, Sauce is not worth the highest paid corner money anymore, and Flores is a cancer. Look how Tua flourished without him. Maybe? I don't know. Well, look, I don't think Sauce is worth the highest paid cornerback contract right now. And I don't think I would give anyone a contract at all. If I'm a new head coach, new GM coming in, I'm saying, hey, guys, we're going to play out this year. We're going to see how everyone plays. And then, whether it's in season or at the end of the year, we'll renegotiate and we'll bring you back. We want you all here. So I would give Sauce the opportunity to rebound. I would not pay him. Even if she's like, I'm holding out, I'd be like, all right, cool. Like whatever, dude. Flores is a cancer. I don't know. It doesn't seem like he's a cancer on any of the teams that he's been with right now. And I do think he was kind of mad at Tua because he wanted Herbert and the owner wanted Tua, and like he was overridden the same way that who the hell was the coach down in Carolina with McCown and those guys? They wanted CJ Stroud. The owner, Tepper, wanted Bryce Young. So they went with Bryce Young. So these owners, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Let the football guys make the football decisions. I do think Herbert's a better quarterback than Tua. I do think Tua flourished under Mike McDaniel, but I don't think that means he's the better player or selection. Hulk smash my mom. The shuffling of coaches messed up the dynamics of this team. The players have no true leadership from a personnel standpoint. Yeah, look, the firing of Robert Saleh is a weird, frustrating conundrum because the teams that we wound up losing to aren't really terrible. Like the Broncos are better than everyone thought they were. The 49ers were fully healthy, short of Christian McCaffrey. A very challenging team at that point in the schedule. The Vikings, studs this year. So like Robert Saleh lost to some really good teams, but this offense was looking really, really stagnant. Like there was very clear coaching glaring coaching issues that came up as well. Revolution. What is your evaluation of drafting Milroe as our quarterback? So I went into it a little bit ago, but I think that he is a very exciting player to watch. Admittedly, I have not watched enough tape on him or any of the other quarterbacks to make a sound, concrete decision. But just from me casually looking around and watching some highlight reel stuff and just seeing like what he's all about, the style of play that he benefits from, I like Milroe. I think that is a player that would be exciting for our young players. I think they would get on board with it. Now, I don't know if that necessarily translates to the NFL. I'd have to look a little bit more. But right now, that's sort of where my head's at. Chris, boycott the season next year. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go to home opener. They always get me. But I don't blame anyone boycotting. Mark says he wouldn't mind Fields. Dude, when you go back to the Clemson-Ohio State game in the college football playoffs, Green Bean, Matt, and I were watching that game, and I was like, dude, Fields is going to be our quarterback. Like, that's the guy I want. He's just gritty. He's tough. There's, like, if you give me a Flores with, like, a Fields, and we just kind of have, like, the cast-offs from other teams that I think are, like, pretty decent players in their own rights and, like, coaches in their own rights, I could live with that. Because I feel like we're sort of like that redheaded stepchild, and that's sort of what those other guys are as well. LTWG, the Harbaugh Derby. Yes, Ravens versus Chargers tonight. Chargers currently up 7-0. This is a very good game. 7-4 Ravens, 7-3 Chargers. Jockeying for, what is it, the number 2 playoff spot, I think? Chris, you're a smart Jets fan. Stop caring to watch a dumpster fire. Yeah, I don't, I try not to stress too much watching this team right now. We gave JD 5 years and Woody didn't interfere. Year 6, Woody did. I think Woody interfered 2 years ago. And if you want to believe some of the conspiracy theories, he intervened back in 2021 when Zach Wilson was drafted. But I don't know. I think I liked Douglas. I thought he was one of the most respected front office guys that we've ever had in my time watching the Jets, and I think we lost something by doing that. And I think we lose more credibility with other people by doing it too. Jaguars aren't going to trade Lawrence. Adam says, there is more to team building than just adding great names on paper. Yeah, clearly culture is a big thing for us. Actually coaching a team and inspiring players to play their best is what coaching is all about, and apparently we were not able to do that. Wildwave says, we need a top 7 or 8 pick. Mason Graham, Will Johnson, Abdul Carter are all studs. So of that list, I understand if you want to go Graham. Will Johnson, I believe that's the corner from Michigan, right? And then Abdul Carter, the edge rusher from Penn State. Of those 3, Abdul Carter is the one that really resonates with me. But I would also throw in the wide receiver from Arizona, whose name is escaping me right now. 6'5", really nice kid from what it seems like. Catches everything, especially because I don't think there's a chance that Devonta Adams comes back, and I think there's a good chance that Garrett eventually asks for a trade. So at least surrounding yourself with some premier talent with a different skill set than Garrett, in the event you want to have the best case scenario for Jordan Travis, and then also have a young, offense for, Arch Manning or quarterback in 2026. There is something there. Let's see. Tony B says, wait, where is the $50 million for another quarterback? It's gone. We don't have that. Let's see. I'm just curious what Stafford's contract is, because that would be an interesting maneuver. So he's got 2 years left on his deal, and he would be roughly $30 million if you traded for him. Realistically, 37, 38. Maybe you sign him to like a 4-year deal, and it's really like 2 years plus 2 void years, and you try to ride out the last 2 years of Garrett and Sauce. And then maybe you draft a quarterback this year or next year, and you have him learn behind Stafford. It kind of depends where the Rams are at, but I think there's worse things you can do. But I don't think the Jets are going to spend a lot of money on a quarterback next year. I would be surprised. Chris says, go Knicks, Rangers, Yankees, lots of good teams in New York, just not our Jets. Wild Wave says, Woody meddled as soon as he got back. Yep. Willie says, why would you want old-ass Stafford? I just want a quarterback. I don't want Stafford for the next 10 years. I want him for a year. I don't know if it's necessarily him either. It could be, I'm just throwing that out there as a name. If there's other guys that are out there that could come in, I think veteran quarterbacks just tend to do better here in New York. If you want it to be Tyrod Taylor versus Jordan Travis, I'm fine with that. You're just kind of accepting that you're not going to have a winning season, and you might have to trade some good players away. Eddie says, got to stabilize quarterback. The roster is here. LGT says, Lawrence has proven he can play at an elite level. Just everything around him has been in shambles most of the time in Jacksonville, hence why he got paid. I think I liked the Trevor Lawrence idea because of the pedigree and because of like the youthfulness. And if you can bring him in, maybe there's a situation where now you're attracting like a better head coach or something like that. All right, guys, phone lines are open. I'm going to go to that in just a second. But before I do want to acknowledge the sponsor of tonight's stream, Public Rec. Tired of squeezing into stiff dress pants at the holiday party? This season, unwrap the gift of comfort with the Game Changer pants from Public Rec. The office pants that look like Monday but feel like Sunday. Imagine clocking in while feeling as cozy as if you were still in bed sipping a hot cocoa. With a soft hand feel and smooth drape, these pants are fan favorites for a reason. Whether you're choosing closing deals in the boardroom, navigating holiday travel, or mingling at company parties, the Game Changers will keep you looking sharp and feeling great. Public Rec is the ultimate men's clothing brand for blending comfort and style seamlessly. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. Stay comfortable this holiday season without compromising style because the Public Rec's Game Changer pants, you really have it all. And for a limited time, my listeners will get 20% off their entire order with code JETSTALK at publicrec.com. That's 20% off with code JETSTALK at publicrec.com. Boys and girls, this shirt from Public Rec, also very nice. But let me tell you, the pants, I have been wearing these to work and to different places, and I have fallen asleep in them. The ad read that I just did is not just the ad read. It's legitimately like, and it's got loops and stuff. You could wear a belt. I actually look like legit in this and super comfy. I'm a very comfortable person. Like gym shorts, sweatpants are my game. These pants, I very much like. I'll be honest, didn't know Public Rec before they reached out. Now, I've got a few pairs of pants, and I'm very, very happy with all of them. So if you're interested, you're in the market for a nice pair of four-way stretch pants, I could not endorse them enough. So if you want to support the channel, head over to publicrec.com, get 20% off your order with promo code JETSTALK. Thank you so much for sponsoring the episode. All right. Let's go over to our first guest of the night. It's been a minute since I've talked to him. Let me get over to my screen. Where's my button that I got to press? Here it is. Mr. Nick. Nick, how you doing, dude?
Brian, I've been great. How are you?
Dude, I want to say I've been great, but like this team just gives me heartburn. What are your thoughts on everything Jets?
I hear you. I've missed you, my friend. I've missed you, and I felt this is long overdue, and there's a lot to get through. But yeah,
I'm gonna take the timer off just so we can have a little more conversation. I'm good with this. Tell me how you're feeling.
I feel like it's like the psychiatrist, right? It's like, we're just gonna.
It's like, all right, here you go. You got an hour.
It's just like we should just grow to expect this as Jet fans. And like I'm waiting for Rodgers to play in Minnesota next year. Because that's the narrative that should happen. Because that's what we signed up for as Jet fans. We signed up for this just glutton of punishment that we're going to get.
And remind me, who was the head coach after Brett Favre left to go to the Vikings?
Oh, gosh, now I'm blanking on it. Was it Rex? Was it Rex? Yeah, it was Rex.
Yes, it was. It was Rex Ryan. We're good. Time Seriously. Is a circle. It's just one cyclical, stupid, dumb.
What's it? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. But hey, listen, I'd be okay with it if you're telling me 1 year of Rex, like just to go all in. Okay, like just for entertainment purposes, like given everything that we've seen, why the hell not? At least he's passionate about. Like he wants to win. Like not that Saleh didn't, but like not many people get those second chances with teams, and I feel like I don't know. There might be that extra emphasis on him. What interests me too is if Rex does come in the whole retool idea, right? Looking at free agency, and I don't know if we have the cap room to do it. Probably not, but.
I'll pull it up and I'll try to analyze it while you're talking there.
So what really interests me, the one name that really interests me is Jedrick Wills. And I don't know if he's like I thought I saw on Spot Track that he's a free agent and he's 26. And I don't know if Fashanu's played right tackle, right? He's played right guard a little bit as well. To me,
he is a free agent.
The tackle.
Yeah, he's got void years in his contract. So unless he re-signs, he will be a free agent. That would be a play for sure. And he's been averaging about not even like a crazy ton of money, to be honest. 2020 was his first year on this contract. But when was he drafted 2020? Was that when we got Becton? Because that was the same year, right?
Yeah, he used the Becton draft. Him and Wirfs and Becton, and we somehow ended up with the worst of the 3 or 4. Because Thomas, I love Thomas that year because Thomas was in that
so did
year,
I.
in that draft.
He was a solid, like you knew he was the safest Becton had the highest ceiling, but it like also the way lowest floor. That would be an interesting
Yeah,
grab.
it intrigues me because if you remember back, was this like 2-3 years ago with Orlando Brown?
Yep.
And supposedly the Jets were linked with Brown
Mm.
that year. They were trying to sign him, and I just wonder if, again, in revisionist history, I don't, the reports come out after the fact. Oh yeah, we wanted all these players that are studs
Yeah.
now,
Yeah, of
but
course.
getting Orlando Brown would have made a big difference on this whole offense. Like a left tackle makes the biggest difference. And I still think Fashanu's a great player and could be a stud tackle. But the idea of, again, bookend tackles for the next
Mm.
3 or 4 years at the very least, it's the easiest way to retool this team. Brees Hall, Braylon Allen are on the team. You don't have to change much. I don't care who. Jordan Travis could be the quarterback. Tyrod Taylor could be the quarterback with that.
Distribute the ball, right? Like that's what we wanted Rodgers to be able to do that. If you tell me that Jordan Travis can distribute the ball and have the mobility to get outside the pocket, like maybe that's a winning formula. Like I'm okay with watch. Like I don't want Tyrod Taylor to play because I think there's a really good chance that he's going to wind up winning some games because of that exact like play style and philosophy.
I'm just torn because I think we're at and this is like it's like that I feel like as Jets fans we're always in the transition. Like we're at the top of the draft when there's not a franchise quarterback. We're in need of a head coach when there's not a head coach candidate who's got great experience. It's like every time the timing could be perfect for something that we need, it never works out.
That's exactly how it always works. That's life as a Jets fan. We've had the worst record for the last 15 years over the course of like everything, and we haven't owned a number 1 overall pick. Like Jacksonville might very well have 3 first-round picks in the last 5 years. That's insane. Like, absolutely bonkers that they could get that lucky. So
it's just, I don't know. Just to sum this up, because I know you probably have some other callers. Just, I don't know. We're at, to me, it's kind of a fork in the road of like, yeah, you could get Rex, someone like that for 1 year, go all in, try and make a tweak and a run, or do you go with the long term decision, which is probably the safer like pick of a Vrabel or a Flores? Because I think those are the guys that, yeah, in the true way of rebuilding a team, a championship caliber team, you restaff the whole team, GM, head coach, and below. So again, it's like heart versus mind. We probably have to go with Vrabel and just bite the bullet and take a rebuild year.
I like Vrabel. Vrabel would be the top of my list. I would say it's Vrabel, and then like probably some combination of like I don't think Ben Johnson's a realistic option for us. He would be high on my list. Flores is high on my list. But if you get Vrabel in here, he's a consultant for the Browns right now. So Jedrick Wills already knows the guy. Like you have some degree of an in if you can bring in Vrabel here. And then you do have your offensive line set. That's honestly a really, really attractive option. And if you get like a, I don't know what GM we'd snag, but I would be very, very excited with that.
Well, if you recall, he also, if I recall correctly, like all his years in Tennessee, his first round picks, like he signed Jack Conklin, like his first round picks were like Lawan. He always ended up going offensive line year in, year out.
And he always had good offensive coordinators. He had offensive coordinators that were always getting poached by other teams. And that's something that, even though he's not the offensive mind, the fact that Arthur Smith was, the fact that Matt LaFleur was, like that is very intriguing to me, to say the least. Nick, anything left before I eject you?
No, man. No, it's been great talking to you. We'll talk soon. Happy Thanksgiving. Hang in there. Cheers.
Happy Thanksgiving, dude. You ejected from the cockpit. And I didn't update that screen. I got to figure out which button I got to click on this. All right, let's go over to Luke. Let's see what Luke has to say. Luke! Dude.
Ryan, how are you?
Talk to me. How are you feeling about this shit show of a team?
Well, I'm feeling the same way that I feel every year. I'm really excited for the off season now, right? It's the middle of the season, and already my mind is towards how's this team going to improve? Who are we going to hire? The who are we going to hire thing hasn't happened in a while, but how are we going to improve? I think the most important part of this offseason is to get the right coach in. You guys were just talking about Vrabel. I think Vrabel would be a really good hire. Although I have some reservations because I think to win in this league, and it could be just like a causation thing, or sorry, a correlation thing. But
Yeah.
you need an offensive guy, and Vrabel is a defensive guy by background. I would more so look at the Texans OC Slowick.
Slowick.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, Slowick. Maybe Cliff Kingsbury. Maybe give him another shot.
I do like Cliff. Like the fact that he's had success with Jaden Daniels and with Kyler Murray are both things that are like of interest to me. And it's not that I thought he didn't deserve to get fired when he did, but like there's the former head coach route is something I'd like to see us approach. And he's been in New York before, so like I don't know.
Yeah. During the last cycle, I wasn't a huge fan of the Saleh hiring. I actually really wanted Dable that cycle.
So did I.
So if he becomes available, like maybe you look at him, but I don't know, maybe too much
Dude,
has
with
happened.
Malik Neighbors throwing him under the bus this past week, like Neighbors didn't get, I don't know if you saw the video or not, but for those of you guys that did not see the video, Malik Neighbors didn't get a target until like the third quarter when they were down 30-0. And they're like, well, why don't you think you got any targets? He's like, you got to ask Dabbs, you got to ask Dable or whatever. It's like, all right, well, maybe that's a little writing on the wall as far as like this guy might not last much longer. And if you don't have to like, I don't know. I would be very on board with Dable. You get me to like Dable and Flores Wombo combo or something like that. That'd be pretty cool. They coach together up in New England. I think
cool.
Flores probably leaves only for a head coaching job though. But I would take Dable.
Yeah. And if Stefanski gets fired, I don't think that'll happen. But if he does, I think he take a hard look there.
Did you see people were talking about a trade for a coach? And if there was a trade for a coach, like who do you think that would be? Like, is Stefanski the one that kind of jumps out at people, or is there like another coach? Like, I guess it could in theory be a Dable. If Shanahan fell in poor graces, I would go 110 miles an hour and fucking Shanahan. Like, I don't know.
You give
I don't know
up.
who it would be.
The only coach in the league I would give up anything for is Shanahan. Otherwise, I think you just keep those assets and like try to build your team.
I saw a really, really funny tweet by Buffalo Jet fan, and he's not wrong. It's like if the Jets could get Stefanski for their first pick, would you do it? And my gut, like immediate reaction was like, we might have the 3rd overall pick. I'm not giving up that pick for a head coach. And then I was reading some of his replies, and it was like, oh, tell me how a defensive tackle would have more of an impact than a head coach over the last few years here. And I was like, well, you're probably right. Like, I don't know if there's a player we can draft that would have more of an impact than a good head coach. It's just you're running that gambit of like, are you getting a good head coach, and you're also giving up the player, or giving up the draft pick.
But you got to compare, like, okay, say you draft Aaron Donald and then you get Slowick to be your head coach. Like, how does that add up?
I don't know. There's not a lot of Aaron Donalds.
That's a stretch. I'm not giving up.
Like, you know what a head coach is. A player, you don't necessarily know. Like, I can see the logic behind it. I don't think I would move a top 5 pick for a coach. That's me. Though.
Yeah. Even top 10.
Yeah.
And then in terms of GM, I don't know if this is popular or an unpopular opinion. I think it may have had to happen just because he didn't want to be here anymore. But I was a big JD supporter.
Yeah, me too. I do think JD was a good football mind. I thought he was a good football guy in the front office. But I think Woody kind of kneecapped him dating back to last year. And I think he just didn't want to be here. And I think that's like he knew the writing was on the wall. He was leaving. Woody's like, you're not going to break up with me. I'm going to break up with you. And then we at least get the jump on looking at people, I guess.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm starting to think about who you should hire for GM now, and you really we're looking for someone that is Joe Douglas, that comes from a good organization, that values the trenches, and it makes me sit here like we have the
guy. Someone like Ozzie Newsome. I want someone like Howie Roseman. Like the dude literally was under both of them. Damn it! Like I thought JD was gonna be the dude, and Woody just mucked it up. And it's not to say Joe Douglas didn't have his faults. Like we had some bad free agent classes. We had some really bad drafts early on. But like we might be going in with another first-time GM that might have to go through this whole same process again. And at least like we had something to fall back on with JD.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to defend someone that like missed the playoffs for 6 years. Like that's the challenging part for me.
Yeah. I think the 2 things that like you really can criticize, maybe 3, is that first draft class is putrid. Um, I don't know what went on there. You can't really excuse that. The second thing, I mean, I'm more harsh on this than other people, but the way that they branded Saleh hiring, it was like Douglas got his guy, and I didn't support it whatsoever. I think when you look for a coach, you need an offensive guy, and like just in any circumstance.
Well, Daboll had bowed out prior to us getting Saleh. Like, I don't know if we even got the interview
Gotcha.
with Daboll, or maybe he came in and then decided to go back. Whatever it was, he wasn't an option for us. So
Gotcha.
that
Arthur
cycle,
Smith, right? It was
yeah, like
Arthur Smith.
I wouldn't have gone Arthur Smith. I wouldn't want to go with Mike McCarthy. Dan Campbell would have been a fun hire. I did not realize that's who he was going to be when he went on with the Lions.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd do.
I mean, I think Arthur Smith now might be a candidate for our job this time too.
I don't
right?
want to see Arthur Smith after seeing what he did in Atlanta. Like, I'm good. I'm all right.
I guess. But yeah, I guess final thing that I want to say is I know Jets fans hate Woody, but I'm a Knicks fan as well. And for the longest time, we hated Dolan. We endured decades of suffering, right? And look at our Knicks now, right? So there is hope. I know it feels like we're in a hamster wheel and we're just year on, year out. We're just that mouse going.
I keep saying it's not going to get worse, and I'm not saying it anymore. Because every time I say it's not going to get worse, it gets fucking worse. Every fucking year, something happens, and damn it, it just gets worse. Like, if you told me fucking 2 years ago, right as we're going to get Aaron Rodgers, or we think we're going to get Aaron Rodgers, that, like, hey, you're going to have Aaron Rodgers for 2 years, you're going to get 4 wins, and, like, he's going to have 4,000 yards total across 2 years, I'd be like, you're out of your mind. That's not happening. That's a lie.
Yeah.
And it's going to fucking happen. Luke, you have been ejected from the cockpit. Get out of here. Always a pleasure to have you on, Luke. All right, we got Cameron, and then we got Mike. I'm gonna throw the timer on because I forgot that I am going live with Dom at 9 o'clock. So we're gonna do a little 2-minute timer here so I don't overrun. But let's go to Cameron. Cameron, how you doing, dude?
I thought we were doing no timer tonight. I was excited.
I was planning no timer. I forgot I was jumping off at 9 to go on with Dom.
Earlier.
I usually do this show last, and Dom flip-flopped me. Ugh, it's okay. I'll reset your timer. All right, go.
So, I'm looking at it, and I heard you talking about what I traded top 5 pick for a coach. Shanahan, McVay, Andy Reid would be people I would trade a top 5 pick for because I feel like they would turn the franchise around in such a way that you wouldn't miss the pick. You know, even if the guy turned into a really good player, if McVay was to build, a roster over 8, 9, 10 years that got you to the conference championship 6 or 7 times, who cares about that top 5 pick? He's one player.
McVay never had first-round picks. They took their first-round pick this past year for the first time since 2016. It's crazy.
He's not even playing currently. No. He's injured, but it's like he can do it without it. And looking at the guys who are out there, I'm afraid of who we might end up with because I think Woody Johnson kind of sours the pot in a lot of ways, not only the GM but the head coach. Because it's like, do I really want to work under a maniac like that? Do I really want to tie my career, especially if they're new, to someone who may just torpedo me in 2 years if I don't do what he wants?
The nice thing is Woody Johnson and the Jets normally overextend the welcome of the head coach. Like Rex was 6 years, and Bowles was like 5, Saleh was 5.5, like, or 4.5, whatever it was.
Yeah, 4.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who do you want?
Because I'd want Ben Johnson. I'd want Bobby Slowick. I think either one of them could do a really good job. I just don't think they want to come here. And when you're using, Tannenbaum and you're using the former Vikings GM, I wonder what their philosophy is. Are they really going to go with the current NFL or the NFL that they knew when they were in it? That concerns me as well.
I completely agree with you, Cameron. Thank you so much for the call.
Later, Ryan.
Look forward to talking to you next week. You've been ejected from the cockpit. Let's go over to our buddy Mike. Mike, dude.
I'm a little concerned with this whole consulting thing based on how it went last time. I know it was different owner. I'm hoping they're doing it as like just advice and not like, this is who we think you should take. And they say, done deal, we're bringing him in. Because like, I'm really scared it's going to be like the ghost of Jeff Fisher. And I'm not even joking. Like, I see them going like, wait, yeah, like, I'm dead serious. I can see that from like happening. Like, I don't trust them, but I am happy they are using experience. I mean, I know they suck. Like, I know it's Tannenbaum, but they are experienced GM. So say what you want, but they've been around the league. They have connections. So maybe I trust the process, even though it's failed every single time for 30 years with Woody. But like, if they use a little wisdom, maybe, like
The
take it with a grain
connections
of
is the
salt.
part we lost with Douglas. So like, I think having the connections with the consulting firm is at least a smart thing to do. Whether or not they pick the right guys.
I'm not saying don't do it. I hate how the people running it. But again,
Agreed.
That's also just because past
You did know
experiences
Adam
with
Gase was part of that organization, right? The 33rd team.
Yeah. Again, I'm half expecting him to say, "Hey, we're gonna hire Hackett because he was a head coach before. It's great." Like, the clown show never ends. I of all people, I don't want Rex, but it's not for the like. Yeah, I know he wants to be here, and I appreciate that. But it's just we've done this. We've seen him before. We've seen him get a second chance in Buffalo, and it was a disaster. So like, why does he deserve a third? Just because he wants to be here? That's cool. Any assistant coach would want to become a head coach because the money increase is that drastic, and I think people need to understand that like an assistant will go to a rough situation because they can't pass it up. One, for the money, and two, for the opportunity. Because you don't. How many head coaching chances do you get? So if we offer it to Slovic, he's not going to turn it down. You offer it to Aaron Glenn. I don't think he can. I don't think they can turn it down because of the potential it has. They know they're probably in a rough spot, but they won't walk away. And I think people are forgetting that when it comes to hiring candidates. They're like, oh, nobody wants to come here. People will come here because of just the position and what happens. And if it fails, you just blame Woody and you're fine.
Now, I do think there's something to be said for how desirable they are and how many coaching openings there are. Like if the Jets come knocking, they're like, hey, look, we'll offer you the job right now. Like the guy might be like, hey, look, I appreciate it. I want to like play the field and see who else is out there. Because he might be like, hey, Jacksonville's a better opportunity. Hey, these other coaching opportunities are better opportunities. But I agree. I know what you're saying.
Either Jacksonville or Dallas. Like, so it's like, okay, that takes one off. We don't think we're getting Ben Johnson. But like,
the Raiders are another one to watch out for. I could see him with Sanders there. 100%.
So it's just like, we'll see what happens, but don't trade the number one, the top 5 pick or whatever it is, because that's a bargaining chip for your GM to use to say, get the quarterback he wants or trade down or do whatever. But when you give that up, you lose a lot of power with your front office. Usually that's a chip that when you're rebuilding, the GM and the coach want to have. So when you give that up to get a coach, you kind of screw them up a little bit. It's usually a thing that brings the coach in or the GM in. It's like, hey, this top pick, I get who I want. Let's hit the ground running. So keep that and don't trade.
Mike, get out of here! You've been ejected. I could talk to Mike all day. I really could. We got 5 minutes before I go on with Dom. We got Jake. What's up, Jake?
Ethan, man, how you doing?
This team. Even on a bye week, we make news and headaches, and I get heartburn. Sucks. How are you doing?
You're on bye? I didn't even notice. I just saw nothing. Yeah.
I wasn't going to watch even if we weren't on a bye. What do you want to see happen? What do you think about JD getting canned? What do you think about the Rodgers, Woody stuff and the state of the Jets?
Well, my friend has Rodgers coming to his restaurant, and the second he got the news, 5 seconds later, he heard he was getting benched on ESPN, and he was just like, I hate my life. Like, why is this happening?
Wait, Rodgers is getting benched?
He thought he read the news on ESPN.
Oh, I got you.
Stuff, so he was like, "That's my life right now. Like, really, I've been waiting 2 years for this guy to come, and now it's like this is all happening." Well, it wasn't good. It wasn't good regardless. So, I mean, are we doing the Charlie Casserly, Ron Wolf thing again? Are we really doing this again?
It certainly feels like it.
This franchise is such an abomination. Like I'm really at a point now where like I don't even know if I want to watch this offseason at all. I'm really at that point now.
You're at like I need you to prove it to me. Like there's only so many times you can like piss on me and tell me it's rain until I really say like, you know what, it does kind of smell like urine. And like I'm just gonna like stop peeing on me, and then I'll maybe I'll come outside again.
I mean, they're hiring Mike Tannenbaum. I mean, like the guy they fired. And by the way, the guy who also thought Adam Gase was a good coach in Miami and then put Chris Greer in, who was doing exactly what he did in Miami with us. And Rick Spielman, the guy that got fired from Minnesota, while Bafemi Abasu, whatever his name is doing a good job. So is something, am I missing something here, or are we just the misfit toys here? Is that what this is?
It's the Woody knows a guy, he feels comfortable with him, and like I trust him to make the right decision. He's a football guy. He doesn't want to get rid of Jaime or whoever else is in the upper echelons of that front office, and is concerned about having a football guy in there. Stupid. Dumb.
Yeah, I mean, he's 2 months away before he goes back to grifting. I mean, he's probably just trying to rush this thing out right now.
Dude, I wish like it would happen a little sooner because I think we're gonna hire a head coach before he actually leaves. If he is, like, he's gonna have too much of a hand in it, and I don't think it's a good move.
He should have no hand in any of this. He should just sell the goddamn team and be done with this already. I mean,
he makes so much money, he'll never do it. That's the part that sucks. He's got this incredible appreciating asset.
Ryan, let me ask you a question. I think it's time to finally ask this to you from all your years doing this. Yeah. What do you find is going to get you to continue to have the passion to do this year in and year out? Like, what is it going to take you to say, you know what, maybe this is, I'm not saying quit. I'm just saying, where do you finally just say, like, what is the point of the continuation and what's the keep you the drive and passion? Because obviously getting super chats and fame and maybe getting high up into maybe like, for your own career. I'm just very curious. I feel like a lot of these Jets podcast people or streamers, like they're passionate, but it's like, at what point do we come to our senses and just say, like, when does it end? And when do we believe there's actually a real shot of seeing some success with this team and it being sustainable and we can get some enjoyment? Because I this is the first off season, I can tell you, I have almost zero interest following any of this. Like, I'm really at that point now.
So I completely understand that. And I'll tell you right now, I went all in last year. I was like, you know what? This is the year. We've got Rodgers. We have all the players. Like, this is what makes sense. Like, I know as long as Rodgers stays upright, we're good. The only thing that can't happen is he gets hurt. And that was like, okay, I stepped down from my full-time career job, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to try and do – I had my second kid, so it just worked out perfectly from a timing perspective to provide some more assistance with my wife. I'd do content while I was on paternity leave, and then – we go into this season. I accepted a part-time role with the company after my paternity leave, so that way I could, just keep my foot in the door and still like be able to do the content stuff. And there was a job that I wanted that I thought was 2 years away. I was offered that job in June, and I thought about it, and I was like, okay, I know my Jets. I get screwed left, right, and sideways. I was like, it's going to mean I'm going to make a little less content, but the job I'm going to get is a nice 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I'll eventually have some good work from home. And like the commission structure is such that I would be doing very well. And it would allow me to have fun with the podcast as opposed to like forcing content consistently with the podcast. So I made that decision over the summer. I'm really happy I made it. I was definitely concerned early on in the season. I was like, man, I know I'm not making the content I want to. And like, I'm just going to, whatever. But, this is the season that I'll say I very much feel deflated. This is the lowest I've ever felt as a Jets fan, like bar none. Like maybe the butt fumble year was like a close feeling, but this was like we had everything. We've got the roster, we've got the quarterback, we have everything, and for it to not be there and still fall apart, like I feel cooked, and I don't blame anyone. If I had season tickets, I would absolutely not re-up for next year. Like I would be so pissed that this is the product they're putting on for everyone. So that's where my head's at, and that's the God's honest truth of it.
No, you know what, dude? I give you a lot of credit because sometimes I think a lot of people are very hot-headed and they don't think about these. And I think you thought about your family, you're thinking about your career, you're thinking about your future. And I think, this is a kid's game. Let's be honest, right? I know we're having a passion, but this is a kid's game. Let's be honest. And it's been fun watching this team for so many years. But it's like this is the first year I've not like really gotten angry anymore because I just feel like I've gone through too many years of this. It's like I've got too many years of my life to like worry about certain things. And I feel like there's so much great football I'm watching now. It's like I'm looking at the Chargers here. Like,
Yeah,
this,
it's a fun game to watch.
Look, I'm an Ohio State fan, and I don't like. I think Harbaugh is kind of an asshole. I don't like his politics. But honest to God, Woody Johnson could have made the best decision of his life. And even though he's wanted him for years, to say, I'm just going to cut my losses here. I'm going to hire Jim Harbaugh with Joe Ortiz. That actually might have had a shot of changing this franchise. Like, I'm really going to admit that right now. Granted, they have Justin Herbert, but you look at what's. I mean, this team was that loser defensive coordinator they had before, Staley. I mean, look, it's like night and day you're watching right now.
Oh, it's incredible.
And I just don't see what coach are we get. Like, I've said to everybody now, and I've said this for the last few days, is if I am Ben Johnson, I would stay on the Lions and get paid a ton of money and just not lose that job. It works. He's making good money, unless he's going to take like the Cowboys job or something, unless he wants to deal with Dak. I just don't see what coach is coming here. I don't know what appeal he's going to have to come here. And I don't know what people are going to sell to me. It's like, at this point, it's like, what are you going to sell me on this franchise? They're losers. This team is perennial losers.
Jake, you're making me sad. I got to go. I love you. I'll talk to you next week, dude. Thank you so much for calling in. Oh, man. That just made me sad. I was in a spot where I wasn't sad for a little bit. Now I'm sad. Dom, I see you behind the scenes. I'm going to jump over there in just a second, but I want to get to 𝐀𝐿𝐥𝐢𝐥𝐢 super chat real quick before I head over there. He says, what else can Woody do at this point? He's hired football minds to consult like other teams have, yet it's not good enough. What else do you want the guy to do? He isn't selling, never happy. I would like someone who has a dedicated interest in this team to be the president of football operations or even the VP of football operations, who is a football guy, not an accountant or some sort of lawyer or something like that. Like, run this like a football team, not like a business. That's what I would like to see. I like that they're getting some other minds in here and they're getting football guys to make decisions, but these guys don't have any sort of like worry in the world. If the next head coach for the New York Jets doesn't work out, that is no blowback on them. That is the Jets just doing their Jets thing. So I want someone with a little skin in the game, if it were me. Boys and girls, if you didn't know, this stream is powered by BetUS. Head over to BetUS. Nope, that's not the right slide that I'm trying to have up right now. Give me a second. We're going to do this again. Watch this. Boom. This stream is powered by BetUS. Head over to BetUS. Get a 150% bonus match on your first deposit up to $2,000 with code YouTube150. If you want to get in on some futures, got to look at the updated odds, but this one was Ravens plus 350, Texans plus 1,200. The Chargers looking pretty good, sitting at plus 1,200 as well. You can head over there. Make your decision known. Boys and girls, I'm going over to the Talking Jets panel show with Mr. Dom C. We're going to be talking a little football over there, so we'll see you over there momentarily.